Okay, tēnā koutou katoa. Welcome everybody to our Strategy and Advocacy Committee meeting for Tuesday, the 30th of June. And just checking, just a wee welcome to anyone that's online as well, and to all of our officers and staff and members and non-members of the committee. So do I have any apologies? We have Councillor Brent Cowles, you may be late. And our Mayor Mel Tiffindale is just joining us, so we'll just have a mover for Councillor Brent. Thank you, Councillor Ryan, seconded by Sven. It's carried. Okay, so we'll move to conflicts of interest. Are there any declarations to make for today's meeting? I'm just thinking whether to acknowledge my conflict of interest in terms of one of the reports to the CE and staff, 5.1, just the social investment agency, just in terms of the process and my participation within there as part of the steering group. And then also Mayor Mel Tiffindale, but I don't think it necessarily excludes us from contributing to the discussion. So I think we'll move on to the next one. So confirmation of a public minutes. Okay, moved, thank you, by Councillor Jeremy, seconded by Sven. Those in favour? Those against? Okay, thank you. There's confirmation of that public minutes moved, carried. Okay, we'll move to agenda item number 5. So starting with the Social Investment Agency. So shall I pass that over to Ms. O'Neill?
Many thanks, Chair. The team today have brought forward a submission which was supported by the Stronger Waitaki steering group in relation to attempting to gain a role from the Social Investment Agency as a commissioning arm. So the Social Investment Agency has provided the opportunity to apply for funds for this purpose. What this purpose would do would really build and enable us as an organisation in Stronger Waitaki to meet the future needs of our community. And so I just want to acknowledge firstly the amount of work that went into the submission and the entirety of the team that have been involved in the submission. It really is a fantastic piece of work, having read it. And so I just want to acknowledge that and the leadership that Ali and Shelley have brought to this piece of work. So thank you. Hand over.
Thank you. I'll pass it over to Ali.
Yeah, thank you to the chair. So I wanted to bring a briefing of this opportunity to the committee so that you were aware of our intention to put our name in the hat and to be recognised as an entity that would be able to operate as a commissioning arm. I want to really emphasise that we have not had an answer yet, and it's a highly competitive process. So as you will see in the report, the process essentially was the expressions of interest initially, and then they're shortlisting 6 across the country for more of a conversation. And then after that, picking 2 potential entities to lead community commissioning across the country as examples of how it could go. We really see Stronger Waitaki as capable of that, and we have strong endorsement from the network to act as that commissioning arm. We know that it would see quite a big change in the way that Stronger Waitaki is now. So in the expression of interest, we kept it fairly vague. We only had a very limited number of words, but really indicating that we're open to and would absolutely work with council to identify how that could look going forward. Yeah.
Great, thank you for that. We have any questions? Councillor Hopkins.
Yeah, very brief comment. It does seem to me that the discovery and design process to explore how investment decisions, et cetera, could be more closely aligned is a classic example of bureaucracy spending money that perhaps might be better spent in other ways. But parking that for the moment, because I think some of it's self-evident and the application of common sense might provide comprehensive answers. I'm just curious to know whether anyone has taken into account the proposed changes in the Local Government Act, which would remove wellbeing from our charter in terms of things that the Crown expects us to focus on and deliver. And there are 2 or 3 references here to how this would enhance well-being. But if it's no longer part of our remit, how does that gel?
So you might remember that the Social Investment Agency was set up by government, excuse me, to enable them to really focus on the social aspects of requirements of the population. We're already aware that the gap in social care is several $1 billion for New Zealand. And so whilst the well-beings are being removed from council, I think the messaging we got from central government was that that doesn't remove responsibility, it just actually removes the requirement from legislation. And I think as well, the wonderful thing about Stronger Waitaki is that whilst they are under the umbrella of council, they are in a position where they could be standalone in provision. And so they have the capability to be independent of our requirements as a council. So the opportunities for the future are what this would enable, really. Does that help?
Thank you, Councillor Brown.
Yeah, just further on what Councillor Hopkins says, and I basically had the same question, and to me it's a very important question, so I actually wrote to the local MP, Mr. Anderson, to get some clarification as when this well-being is removed. I'm not sure even whether it's already been removed out of the Act. What does that actually mean? And yesterday I got a response as in, they don't even know here as part of the MP office, and I forwarded my question towards the Minister Watts to get an explanation and clarification, and it specifically mentioned the social aspects of the well-being. There's 4 pillars in there, social as being one of them. So I'm a little bit skeptical, sorry, when you say, well, the message is from local government, because frankly, our own MP can't even answer our question at the moment. So I'm not saying you're doing not a great job, you're doing a fantastic job, but in the end, like it or not, we have to abide by the rules that the federal government or central government is setting how we have to govern. And at the moment, they just don't gel.
Thank you. I think you've made some valid points, and I think from the Stronger Waitaki network itself that almost literally sits outside of council, and we're feeding through this information through to the Strategy and Advocacy Committee. It's an opportunity for partnerships, and I understand the point in terms of it may not be in our remit to be able to consider this, but I think in terms of the well-being and the opportunity it could present for the community is too good to be true. But yeah, I take both of your points. Councillor Sven.
Yeah, I take those points, and if this is an opportunity to bring more outside funding in and take the reliance off council, that's positive. But also note that Stronger Waitaki has been a pretty good return on investment to date with bringing in a lot of outside funding. Does this present an opportunity to provide a more comprehensive service with bringing, like gluing more organisations together in the way that you currently do?
Yeah, thank you for that question. I think it's really important to highlight that this opportunity would enable us to really get that much deeper understanding of all of the service provision that is that has been agreed for Waitaki. So it enables us to bring all of that social services funding into one place. At the moment, it's scattered. We feel like we have a pretty good understanding of what is available, but I think there are always gaps in that, and this would enable us to, I guess, not only better our understanding, but enable the community to have greater access to what they need.
And if I can just add to that, I think what comes with that is efficiency. So that clarity of all those funding streams, people don't know what they don't know. And whilst there's really good communication and collaboration already going on, I think that there could be an opportunity for efficiencies and that real collective impact for the community, but also of the funds.
Great, thank you for that. Are there any other comments or questions? Yes, Councillor Sven.
So it'll be more efficient. The funds coming down will also help define problems and send that back up the chain in a more impactful way as well.
Yeah, great point. I think there will be an opportunity for that, and we've talked before in this committee around advocacy and how we can best do that. So I think definitely it's a great point you make.
Thank you for that. I think it's always important for local communities to be able to define what their own solutions would be, and if there's opportunity to pull additional support that's not taking ratepayer funding away from them, but bringing other resources, and that should always be a good opportunity and also noting that Minister Upston is in town this week too. So I think it's always important to try and shed visibility on what the community needs are. Yeah, are there any other comments from the committee? Okay, I think we have a recommendation there. If we're ready to, okay, so moved. So the recommendation that the Strategy and Advocacy Committee receives and notes the information in agenda item 5.1, moved by Councillor Sven. Do we have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Ryan. Those in favour say aye. Those against? Okay, that is carried. Thank you. We'll move to the next item on our agenda, 5.2.
So the cost of living paper is being brought to the committee as requested in recognition of the challenging fiscal environment that our communities are facing, both across New Zealand and in Waitaki. Households are continuing to manage cost of living pressures from what feels like every avenue. And locally, this is being felt alongside concerns about the potential impact of rates increases. So whilst council must make difficult decisions to ensure services infrastructure remains sustainable, we also have a role in ensuring that residents know where help is available when they need it and ensure that they can get access to it. So this paper has been requested of Stronger Waitaki to outline the support available from the local services that the network is aware of. Excuse me, and how the council can actually raise awareness, or how we can as councillors, but also as council staff, support people to connect with the right support and the right services. So with that, I'll hand over. Thank you, Ali.
Thank you for that introduction, and thank you for the opportunity to present some of this information. I think I want to start by really emphasising that it's incredibly difficult to sometimes have a very big blanket picture of what's available for the community, because it will differ from household to household. So this is a broad overview. As you can see, it's separated into different areas of support. I think also I want to emphasize that it's supported by the launch of the Stronger Waitaki Support Finder, which was launched last month. And what that is giving us is an interactive directory, essentially, that's on the council website. We've had some really great feedback from the network already about not only being able to use that when they're working with clients themselves, but also being able to refer clients to be looking through that individually. So I'm happy to answer any questions about these services, but again, just making sure that we're all aware that the eligibility is very, very specific to households.
Great, thank you for that, Ali. Yes, councillor Sven, you have a query?
Yeah, that support finder's excellent. I had a look at it and it's very easy to use. Has a lot of organisations on it. Have those organisations mentioned if they've had any increase in demand as a result, or any capacity issues?
That's a great question. Not specifically about the support finder, but I think what we're hearing across the network is that given the cost of living crisis that our community is experiencing, our social service providers are seeing an influx at the moment. I think it's important to see that as a really sensitive ecosystem where we have this community experiencing all of this hardship. And so inevitably our social service providers are going to have more people through the door. So we really need to be aware of that when we're promoting services, when we're talking about everything that's available, that actually also our service providers will have to start a wait list. They may have to turn families away, and sometimes when we turn families away, that can be a real barrier to people asking for support again. So we just need to keep those things in mind.
Yeah, thank you for that. I think adding on to that, I am aware of there is increased demand for a lot of food service support that's available, and hardship support, particularly for those that are in off-season periods at the moment that aren't eligible for any other government assistance. So once the holiday pay is utilised, and then there's nothing left for them. So it's helpful to just do a reconciliation in terms of what services are available for the community to utilise. Are there any other questions or comments? Yes, councillor Holding.
Thanks for this. I guess a lot of this work here is pretty retrospective, but come July 1st, there might be some exasperated issues on like further pressure on them. I'm just wondering, further than the website, or do we plan to do anything more to work with these people to provide more information out there?
Another great question. So we work with these social service providers every single day. This is what makes up the Stronger Waitaki network. And so we're always led by them and how they would like to get their messaging across and be really promoting what they have to offer in the community. But we also, I'm not sure if you've noticed, been highlighting specific supports that are in the support finder in the Waitaki Weekly. So that's been a really good collaboration between our team and the comms team, where we've been focused specifically on housing support. So there have been each week a different support highlighted, and we've had some good feedback from the network that they're noticing that, and the communities that they're serving are noticing that.
Great, thank you for that. Councillor Ryan.
Thank you. I think this is really important to come in front of us, and I just wonder, I guess, how often will we see this sort of reporting to this committee, and can that go to the wider council? Because I think it's really important for us all to have visibility of that.
I'm happy to provide it as often as you would like it. I think it's something that sometimes I take for granted because I'm so aware of these things and our network is so aware. But making sure that council and actually our council colleagues are aware as well, so that when we're all talking to members of the public, we're able to be pointing people in the right direction. So happy to be led by you.
Great, thank you for that, and I think it is helpful, councillor Ryan, just to make the rest of the council aware and just give some visibility around the work that Stronger Waitaki does in our community development team does. It is just as important. It's the social infrastructure that's needed. So perhaps if we put in a motion that we could table regular reporting to full council, maybe every quarter. Ms. O'Neill, do you have any thoughts on that?
I'm just wondering if the reporting would simply be around the provision of services, the services that are available, or actually what those services are experiencing, so the pressure points and the issues, and potentially how council can be part of the solution and support. In addition to that, I just had one question, because obviously there will be people who are watching online and people who will have read the document. So if an individual was seeking help and came to a counsellor, what is the point of contact that we can direct an individual to access the services they need? Because I recognise there is a multitude of services and they all do quite different things. And so how can we make sure that we're actually pointing the right person in the right direction? Because as you say, if it's the wrong place, often it turns them away from seeking help again in future. So I think that would be really good too.
To clarify, are you asking what for one single point for people to go to? Is that what you're asking?
I just think it would be great advice for the officers as well as the elected members as to, if we were approached, where we could actually send an individual to, whether that's Stronger Waitaki or whether that's to the webpage, or what would be the best point?
Sorry. Yes. I think the best point would be to go straight to the support finder. As our councillors have just mentioned, it's very easy to navigate, and it's specific to different categories. Does that answer the question?
If I can just add to that. So the page with the support finder on it, we have now got some additional web pages that have been refined in collaboration with our comms team. They went live on Friday. So contact details for Stronger Waitaki are there as well as a hyperlink to our Facebook page as well. So they can go to the finder, but if they're looking around those web pages, there's also a contact for Stronger Waitaki.
Yeah, no, thank you for that. I would probably advocate in addition to that any door should be the right door. When anyone in the community advocates or needs some kind of assistance, any door that we lead them through to, whether it's the library, whether it's the museum, whether it's Stronger Waitaki, should actually lead them directly to the referral point that is needed. So I think one of them is refining what the entry point is. And for me, any touch point across our council services should actually lead them. So I'd be endorsing and supportive of all of council officers to be aware of the access points for that any service should be a touch point to help lead them. And then just thinking in terms of adding to the recommendation, a third one, just to note a table for reporting, regular reporting to be provided to full council. That notes the provision of services, notes the trends, data and demands, and allows us to give that broad overview in terms of community need from a social and wellbeing perspective. We're just wordsmithing the motion for a report to be provided to full council on a quarterly basis that reports the use or provision of services, outlines any of the trends, demands and data from the Stronger Waitaki network to help update and advise full council. Yes, Ellie.
I just wanted to point out, I really like that wording about insights from Stronger Waitaki. That's something that we know we need to do better. I think we've identified that in the next financial year, that's going to be a real focus for us, is making sure internally, we know how to access stronger Waitaki, and we know how to really kind of amplify the insights that are coming from the network, because it's really useful and it's there. And we have the trust of so many of our wonderful partners. So that's going to be a real focus for us.
I'm not on the committee, but I don't think the last few words in that third resolution need to be there at all. It should read, in my view, requests a report to be provided to update full council, etc., and end on the word stronger Waitaki network.
Thank you. I knew you would wordsmith my motion. Yeah, if you can go with what Councillor Jim had mentioned, and then just finish it at network.
And just add the word update after provided to update. Yeah, we've done it already, Alison, well done.
Okay, are you happy with that, Councillor
Yes,
Hopkins?
yes.
All right. Yes, Councillor Ryan.
I guess just before voting on that, just to check that that's not, you know, a huge additional workload for you if you have that. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, and you're seconding. All right. Is there anything else to add to this agenda item? Any comments, last words before we go to the recommendations? All right, we'll put it to then. We'll just move them all in totality then. So that's moved. So we have 3 recommendations there, that the Strategy and Advocacy Committee receives the report and notes the support services available within Waitaki to assist residents experiencing cost of living pressures. An additional 3rd, requests a report to be provided to update full council on a quarterly basis that reports the use and provision of services and outlines any of the trends and data from the Stronger Waitaki network. So that's moved by Councillor Ryan, seconded by Councillor Holding. Those in favour, please say aye. Those against? Okay, that is carried. Thank you. Okay, we'll move to agenda item 5.3. Okay, so this is in regards to the public action register. So this is basically just tabling and noting all of the public action registers to date, up till today. Do we have any comments or feedback from the committee? I think it's a good outline, good report. I'm just wondering if there are additional actions that we may need to include. There's 2 that are there.
Yeah, there's that second one not yet started, just wondering if there's an ETA on that one. So that Strategy and Advocacy Committee request officers prepare or investigate options for the utilising better off funding. We've had a few good updates on that along the way so far this term, and wondering if there's any further update.
Yes, Councillor Hopkins.
Yeah, Madam Chair, I was going to raise the same point. I note again that the committee's intentions have not only not been met, but they're well overdue, because the resolution carried in May, required a report to be brought back for consideration at the next meeting, i.e. today. And equally, it doesn't look as though the letter of support has been drafted. Mind you, it says that it should be drafted by the mayor, but I would have thought it might be the committee's responsibility. And And the same applies to the youth strategy, which should have been an item at this meeting as well.
Thank you. I had Mia Mel want to make a comment, followed by Ms O'Neill.
First of all, on the letter, and that has been re-raised in my diary, and I've got my EA working on it because I guess timeframes have been a little bit pushed of late. So, and just recognising, I think with the rest of the work program here, we really need to recognise that a lot of changes we've made in our decision making of late has really put the pressure on internally. And on top of that, we've got a decision to make next week. So the fact that some of our work programs within the committee sense has slowed down, I think is just a direct result of the environment we're working in at the moment, where we've got to put the most important things first, and the other things will follow because they're also important. They're just not quite where some of the other conversations are at.
Thank you, Mayor Mel. And just in addition to that, regarding the Better Off funds, this has obviously a finite date because there is a claiming period that needs to happen by the end of the year. So I just want to note the great work that Shelley actually has been doing in this area. It has been a very complicated and long process to get the claiming correct, and also really to identify the outcomes that we've achieved from Better Off funds. And there are other things which are also in motion regarding some of the projects, which we are moving closer towards, but has taken some delicate negotiations. And so now that they are at a point of agreement, we can move further ahead, which will enable us to come back with a report once we have had the opportunity. But those negotiations and getting on top of the claiming has had to take priority over enabling a report for you today. So thank you.
No, thank you for that.
And if I can just add to that, the intention is when we come to this group with an updated report, we will also identify any additional Better Off funds that could possibly be reallocated to water that is outside the initial agreement that went to council in September 2024 of the 650. So I'm just working through that at the moment. I understand the both the risk and opportunities in getting all of that right, given the financial pressures. So if you can just stand by for the report and recommendation.
No, thank you. I appreciate that. I just wonder if some of these actions on the register could be listed individually, so then they can be ticked off as opposed to a group form. Was just one thing. So it's not that it hasn't yet started for that one, it's in progress. It sounds like that. What do we, how can we include some of the workshop information that, you know, like updates? Is there a process that we're able to include for that? I know there have been a couple of helpful workshops. Thank you.
Thank you. That's a good question. At the moment, it's kind of a grey area, and we don't have a process surrounding that. That is something that we need to work on to figure out. But in the meantime, I think you could, a suggestion would be that you could request a report comes to the next meeting on whichever item it was that was discussed at the workshop.
Okay, thank you for that. We might need to have a think about it. I know there was a community housing review and the coastal strategy workshops. It's just good to kind of place make in terms of the progress for those, so we can include that in the register, whether it's public or public excluded. All right, are there any other comments or feedback? Okay, so we'll go to the recommendation for that. All right, so there's one recommendation that the Strategy and Advocacy Committee receives and notes its public action register dated 19th of June 2026. And then perhaps an additional motion to include an updated report insofar as any workshop updates that need to be included. Maybe it's a number 2.
Just a question. Shouldn't the recommendation be dated 19 May? Because that's when it was passed.
Thanks, Councillor Hopkins. The 19th of June was when that snapshot of the register was taken.
Oh, okay.
And the purpose of the second suggested motion would be just to include request an updated report that identifies any required actions that can be taken from workshops. I'm not sure how that should be worded. There's a need to shift some of the material that we've been discussing in workshops to formally adopt or approve or discuss to add into a council meeting and a committee meeting to include it in the actions register.
Well, you could word it as follows, that the committee schedule a workshop to consider the matters not yet started in its, I'm just thinking of the actual term, in its public action register.
Thank you, that's a good suggestion. Councillor Sven?
I assume the grey area is because if you put an action in there, it could be seen as a workshop having made a decision. So perhaps if it's a action and requests register.
Yeah, no, Councillor Sven's right. We just need to sort out our procedure and our process. We don't want to miss all of that important information that's captured and the progress that's captured in workshops. Ms. O'Neill? Ali?
Thank you. Just if I could make a suggestion, you could request a report that provides an update on the work that's been done since that workshop.
Okay, thank you for that. All right, we have 2 motions there as part of the recommendation. Is everyone clear in terms of the second one? Basically, the intention is to request a progress report on items discussed in previous workshops of the committee. That includes the community housing strategy and the coastal strategy. Do we have a mover? Okay, moved by Councillor Sven, seconded by Councillor Ryan. Those in favour, say aye. Okay, those against? All right, that is carried. Thank you very much. Okay, we'll move to item number 6. There's a resolution to exclude the public. So this brings us to a close of our public part of the meeting. Thank you for those that have attended. And do we have a mover to move into public exclusion? Moved by Councillor Holding, seconded by Councillor Ryan. Those in favour say aye. Okay, that is carried. Thank you very much.